So when you do the lowest number, so like how I had 2, you count how many of those you have. So if you have multiples of the same number, so how many of the number do you have? So you would say that's cubed. So it would be 2 cubed times 3. Yep.
Wait, so it'll be 2 times 3 or the square?
So if you have 3 2's, you would have to do 2 cubed. And if you have 1 3, you would say times 3. So that is the final step. So you would write that to your prime factorization if that's what you got. All right, so let's try 120. So again, you're going to keep factoring until you get to your prime numbers. So we'll think of our divisibility rules. So for me, I see there's a 0 at the end. I know any number with a 0 at the end is divisible by 10. So I'm going to pull out the factors of 12 times 10. Again, if you do this correctly, it doesn't matter what 2 factors you start with, you will end with the correct prime factorization. So you can start with any 2 factors. If you factor correctly, you'll still end up with the same result. Okay? So now, I think of factors for 12. And I'm going to say it's 3 times 4. I always pull out my prime numbers to the left. You circle it when you know it's a prime number and there's nothing left to do. 4 is a composite number, so I got to keep factoring. It's 2 times 2. 2 are prime numbers, so I circle them because I know there's nothing left. So now I know this whole side is done. There's nothing left over there. 10 is 2 times 5. 2 is a prime number, and so is 5. So nothing is left on my right-hand side either. Okay, so my prime factorization would be, again, smallest number first. So I have 1, 2, 3 2's. So I'm going to say 2 cubed times 3 times 5. Okay. I don't know. You know, we should email Mrs. Rupart because she's who teaches in here the next period. So if there was a charger, she would have been the one that would see it left behind. Okay. All right. So we already did 72, 120. Why don't we try 60? And then I think we'll be ready to move on, unless you guys feel like you need more practice with this. So again, you can use the divisibility rule that I just used. Remember, it ends in 0. So you know it's definitely divisible by what? So know your divisibility rules. Okay, that's important. You don't have to memorize your multiplication tables, just know some of your divisibility rules. All right, let's take a look. Okay, so Miss Fisher did 10 times 6. Okay, now again, I know this is a composite number and this is a composite number because both of them are divisible by more than just one in themselves. So I have to keep factoring out. 2 times 5 gives me 10. 2 and 5 are both prime numbers because they are only divisible by 1 and themselves. So I circle my prime numbers. 6 is 2 times 3. Both of these are prime numbers because they're only divisible by 1 and themselves. So now I see I'm left with only prime numbers, so I'm ready to create my prime factorization. Remember, always smallest to largest, so I have 1, 2 2s, so 2 squared. I can cross it off once I did it, times 1 3, times 1 5. That is your prime factorization. There's 2 checks we should always do just to make sure we did it correct. First check, you look in that box and make sure all the numbers in the box are prime numbers. 2 is a prime number, 3 is a prime number, and 5 is a prime number. So first check does work out. Second check, you should be able to multiply all these numbers and they should equal 60. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 5 is what, you guys? What's 12 times 5?
60.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions about how to create the factor trees and prime factorization? So that is just a review from last class, complete in the worksheet from last class. And now we'll move on to divisibility rules. This will be really short, brief PowerPoint because we've discussed the divisibility rules for quite some time now. And then we can start reviewing for your big assessment that we have next Thursday. Okay. Okay, let me erase that. Okay, so your divisibility rules. What does divisible mean? It means it's capable of being divided by a number without a remainder. Okay, we discussed that last class. Example, 24 is divisible by 4 because 4 evenly goes into 24, right? 4 times 6, right, If you multiply that by 6, it gives me 24. There is no remainders. So 24 is divisible by 4. Okay? Can anyone tell me, without using a calculator, if the following number is divisible by 3? So I'll write it nice and big up here. 2, 1, 3, comma, 0, 0, 0, comma, 6, 0, 0. Is that divisible by 3? You don't even need a calculator to know if that's divisible by 3. I can look at that in a half a second and tell you if it's divisible by 3. That's why your divisibility rules are so important. You can have a huge number like that, and you don't need a calculator. You can say, yep, I know if that's divisible by 3 or not. Okay, I'm tallying it. Divisible by 3, yes or no? Justin, yes or no? No. All right, so I'm going to make a chart. No versus yes. I have one no. Ryan? No. Okay. Monica? It is. Okay, Monica says yes. Yes, I got 2 no's and 2 yeses. And what a coincidence. The girls say yes, the boys say no. Why do the girls say yes? What does Miss Fisher say about if it's divisible by 3? How do you know if it's divisible by 3? Two plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. Is 12 divisible by 3? Absolutely. The whole number is divisible by 3. And it takes you like half a second. You don't even have to use a calculator. We got this, you guys. All right. So again, this is just the reason why knowing your divisibility rules are so important, because it really helps you with those bigger numbers. And when you're taking your assessment next Thursday, it'll really help you when you're trying to create your factor trees. Just really easy, without knowing your multiplication tables, knowing what numbers will go into it. What are the factors of the numbers? So the big divisibility rules, okay, that will help you on your test is you should know your 2, your 3, your 5, and your 10. I do list other ones up here, but these are your big ones, and they're the super duper easy ones. So you know a number is divisible by 2 if it's an even number, okay? So if it's an even number, it's divisible by 2. Like Miss Fisher has said time and time again, it's divisible by 3 if the whole number, when you add it together, is divisible by 3, then you know that number is divisible by 3. 5, any number that ends in a 0 or 5 is divisible by 5. 10, any number that ends in a 0 is divisible by 10. Okay? We have one number up here that I didn't talk about, but 6. It says a number is divisible by 6 if it's divisible by both. It has to be divisible by both 2 and 3. Okay? So up here, I ask you 72. Is it divisible by 2? Real quick, without even knowing my multiplication tables, I can real quick say yes or no. So 72 is an even number. Is it divisible by 2? Absolutely. It's an even number, so check. Is it divisible by 3? Well, 7 plus 2 is 9. 9 is divisible by 3, so check, it has to be divisible by 3. Is it divisible by 5? No. It doesn't end in a 5 or 0, so it cannot be divisible by 5. Is it divisible by 6? Absolutely, because we already said it was divisible by 2 because it's an even number, and we already said it was divisible by 3, so if it's divisible by 2 and 3, it's absolutely divisible by 6. Is it divisible by 10? No. It does not end in a 0. Okay? All right, so on your own, and we'll go over it, and I want you to, I'll write these bigger. Tell me, first one will be 212. You're going to tell me, is it divisible by 2, 5, and 10? Second number, 1085. Right, yep. And third number is 5010. Okay? So you're going to tell me for each of those numbers if it's divisible by 2, 5, and 10. All right. So Justin, 212 is divisible by 2. 212 is not divisible by 2?
I just did what you did. I just added them all.
That's for 3. 2 is an even number, so it's divisible by 2. So yes for 2. What about for 5? Is it divisible by 5? No, because it doesn't end in 5. Is it divisible by 10? Does it end in a 0?
Wait, you're asking me it's 2 divisible by 10.
No, it's 212. So you're taking this whole number, okay? And you're asking yourself, is 212 divisible by 2? Is 212 divisible by 5? Is 212 divisible by 10?
10, yeah.
So remember, what does divisible mean? So let me get my calculator. Divisible means it goes evenly into the number and there's no remainders. So if I go 212 divided by 10, it gives me 21.2. So it's not divisible by 10 because there's a remainder. Okay? So the only one it's divisible by up here is 2. Let's try 1085. Is that divisible by 2? No, right. It's not divisible by 2. It's not an even number. Is it divisible by 5? Right. It ends in a 5. It's definitely divisible by 5. Is it divisible by 10? No. To be divisible by 10, it has to end in a 0. Use your calculator, you guys. Look. If I divide 1085 divide by 10, for it to be divisible, it has to be an even number. There should be no remainder. That gives me 108.5. Okay? Let's try this one. 5010. Is it divisible by 2? Is it divisible by 2, you guys? No! Is that an even number? Sure is. It has to be divisible by 2. Is it divisible by 5? What's the rule? Divisible by 5? Yes. It's divisible by 5 if it ends in a 0 or a 5. Is it divisible by 10? Yes. It ends in a 0. It's divisible by 10. So that's the only one that's divisible by all 3. Okay? on your test, the divisibility rules are supposed to help you out and make things quicker where you don't have to use a calculator. But obviously on your test, you're always allowed to use your calculator. So if you're given a question and you're asked, is this number divisible by 2? Use your calculator if you can't remember your divisibility rules, okay? The divisibility rules are really just to help you so you can do something super duper quick. But if you can't remember those divisibility rules, please use your calculator. Okay. We don't really need to go into all that, I don't think. All right, at this point, we are going to begin studying for our Unit 5 test. All right, that is what I think is important. So that was the last thing you're going to learn. There's nothing new you're going to learn. So let me get you your packet. Okay. So everything you see in this study guide packet is what will be on your assessment next Thursday. So from now until next Thursday, we're just reviewing. That's all we're doing, only reviewing. Okay? So what I'm going to do, how we're going to work the review, is I want to first see what you remember, but we're going to break it down by sections. So I am going to say, do the first section first. So the first section says find the area and perimeter of the rectangles and or squares with the given dimensions. Remember, area is measured in square units and perimeter is just in units. Okay? So just do 1, 2, and 3, and then we'll go over the correct answers. Okay? Please note, if it helps you to draw the figures out, you can draw the figures out. Also, remember, units count on the assessment. So please remember your units. have the formula right up there. Area equals base times height. So you have your base and your height. Your base and your height. Your base and your height. So that's for your area. So area, you're going to do 3 times 4. For this one, you're going to do 1 times 3. For this one, you would do 4 times 2. So perimeter, you add up all the sides. So let's take a look at the first one, okay? So remember for area, I put the formula right up here, and on your assessment, I give you all formulas. So for every assessment, if there's a formula you need to know, I will give it to you, and you're always allowed to use your calculators, okay? So, formula for area is base times height, okay? Number 1, it tells you the base is 3 centimeters, the height is 4 centimeters. So base times height, okay? So I'm simply doing 3 centimeters times 4 centimeters. 3 times 4 gives me 12 centimeters squared. Area is always squared, you guys. Okay, you have to remember that because you're multiplying them so it becomes squared. Versus perimeter is not squared. So remember, perimeter, we're just adding up all the outside. Okay? A very common mistake on your practice that you guys did on Canvas. There's only 2 labeled, but there's 4 sides to this perimeter. So a lot of you guys said when I asked you what the perimeter was, you did 4 plus 3 is 7, and you guys told me the perimeter was 7. That's only 2 sides. What happened to the other 2 sides? Just because they're not labeled doesn't mean they don't have a measurement. Remember what Ms. Fisher told you. So if this side is 3, that means this side is 3. If this side is 4, that means this side is 4. Because it told you that all of these figures were rectangles or squares. So we know this to be a true fact. We know the opposite side of a rectangle is symmetrical, okay? If it was a square, we know all of the sides are symmetrical, okay? So when you did the perimeter, you should have done 3 plus 4 plus 3 plus 4, right? And that would have given you 14 centimeters though. Okay, the unit's different, 14 centimeters. So just because 2 of the sides are not labeled does not mean they do not exist. You still have to add them in for perimeter, you guys. All right. So now, Monica, tell me the area of number 2. 3 centimeters squared. Okay. Justin, tell me the perimeter. 8, good. 8 centimeters. Okay. Number 3, Ryan, tell me the area. What's the area? Okay, so what's 4 times 2?
8.
8. So it's 8. What's the unit? Centimeters what?
Squared.
Squared. Good. Savannah, what's the perimeter?
12.
Perfect. 12 what? Perfect. Does anyone have questions on how to calculate area or perimeter? because that is a section of this test. We devoted like 2, maybe over 2 weeks on how to calculate area and perimeter. So you definitely are going to have that on this exam. I think we even did like 3 weeks on this. So you have to know how to do this. Okay. So let's go to the irregular shapes, I think. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So how did it print? Do you guys see the dash marks on there, or do you not see the dash marks? Let me see your sheet, because it might not have shown good on the green. Yeah, that might be, oh, you can barely see them. All right, so Miss Fisher is going to have to tell you, that's the unfortunate thing about printing them out on the green sheets. All right, give Miss Fisher 1 second and I will tell you. So for number 4, okay, you see A. We're not even going to, that's the easy one that we just did, so we're not even going to go there. So what we're going to do is, Miss Fisher is going to draw these figures up here, and you can calculate it that way, because you can't really see the lines on your green sheet, unfortunately. Should have printed them off on the white. All right. All right, so we're going to look at shape A. All right. Shape A. Let's say this is so just write these numbers down, because I'm just going to randomly put numbers down at this point. Okay. Actually, I think I'm going to change this. Sorry, we're going to change this to 6 and 4. All right. And we'll put that as 2. Double dash, double dash, double dash. All right, calculate the area and perimeter. All right, let me get this. 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. All right, so if you guys got stumped on this, I don't blame you because this wouldn't make sense. Tell me why that doesn't make sense, that can't be 4. Who can tell me why that could not be 4? All right, so if this is 1, and I'm saying this is symmetrical to this, which is symmetrical to this, that means the total length of this, right? If this is 1, that means that's 1 and that's 1. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So if this whole side's 3, that means this whole side also has to be 3. So that would have messed everything up. It's hard when there was no dash marks on there. I was eyeballing it. All right. So we'll just do this one together because obviously that messed everything up. So the double dash here that said that was 2, that means this was 2 and this was 2. So how you divide up this irregular shape, you would put dashes there and dashes here, right? So you would have said 2 times 3 is 6. So the area of that was 6. So for this one, you would have said 2 times, now the height of this is 2, so 2 times 2 is 4. So the area of that's 4. 2 times 1 is 2. So the area of that was 2. So find the total area would have been 6 plus 4 plus 2, and that equals 12. And the units, they didn't give units, so you just had 12. Now for the perimeter, you would have had to do the whole walk around. So I would have done 6 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. All right, let's see. 2, 4, 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 18 equals 18. There's no units. So you would have had 12 and 18. 12 was the area, perimeter was 18. Okay. Next figure is super duper easy. There shouldn't have been any issues with this at all. So the next figure, they just gave you a rectangle. It wasn't an irregular shape. They gave you B, and I'll let you know what each side is since you can't see the lines. So this would have been 6, and this would have been 2. And they ask you what's the area and what's the perimeter. So I'll give you a couple minutes to figure that one out, but that should be really easy. The next one's going to be the tricky one. so for shape B, so they called this shape B, right? The area was simply base times height. So your base was 6, your height was 2, so it equaled 12. There was no units, so it's just 12. Your perimeter, again, it's a rectangle, so if this was 6, this was 6. If this was 2, this was 2. 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 2 is 14, plus 2 is 16, so 16. All right, this one's going to take you some time. All right, you got to break down the figure. Area, perimeter. Okay, it's an irregular shape. Break it down, you guys. That's how I would have broken it down. That would have been the easiest way. So I would have, if it was me. Now again, when you break down a figure, you can break it down any way you want. There's multiple ways to break this one down. But I would have broken it down into these 3 and then calculate the area of those 3 and added them together. Right? That's by far the easiest way to do it. So let's take a look. So remember, these lines let you know it's symmetrical. Okay, so I have a double dashed line here, and I tell you the unit is 1. So I know this is 1, this is 1, and this is 1. Okay? I'll put it on the inside so that doesn't confuse you. Okay, so for the area of this figure, I do 4 times 3, base times height. So this one's 12. Okay? Again, base times height. So for this one, I do 2 times 2. So this one's 4. Okay? For this one, again, base times height, it's 2 times 1. So this one is 2. Total area of the irregular figure would be 12 plus 4 plus 2. Okay? All right, that's the total area. Okay, 12 plus 2 is 14. 14 plus 4 is 18. Your total area is 18. Perimeter, you do a walk around. This one, there's a lot. Don't miss any of the units. So you got to say 4 plus 3 plus 3 plus it goes up 1 plus it goes over 2 plus it goes down 1 plus it goes over 1 plus it goes down 2 plus it goes over 2 plus it goes down 1. All of that would be for your perimeter. You gotta follow it all the way around, you guys. So let's see. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. 1, 2, 3. 10 plus 3 is 13. 14. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So your perimeter is 20. Okay. That one was a tough one. Okay, this one we actually just reviewed today, prime factorization. So this one shouldn't be that bad. We should be able to do this one. Is anyone stumped with finding the area of an irregular shape? Are we okay with that at this point? How do we feel about finding the area of irregular shapes? So you want to maybe just review my videos if you're stumped, but again, we did that for a long time. On your test, there is, I think, only one question about an irregular shape. The rest are straightforward shapes, so there is only one. All right, so now it says use divisibility rules and your calculator to find the prime factors using a factor tree. Create the prime factorization of 108. So I give you 108. All right. You have to draw your factor tree. So start with your factor tree, and I'm 100% positive. Let me just double check. If I make you draw a factor tree, yes. So you have to draw a factor tree on your assessment as well. So make sure you're comfortable with drawing a factor tree. Again, factor trees can look many different ways. You can choose any two factors to start off with. So it's up to you guys what you want to start with.
What goes into 27?
9, 3. What divisibility rule could you have figured that out with? What divisibility rule could you have figured that out with? 2 plus 7 is what?
2 plus 7?
Mm-hmm. Is 9 divisible by 3? So 27 is divisible by 3. All right, let's take a look. All right, so the easiest one that I think most of you guys will do, especially if you see an even number, is you're going to say it's divisible by 2. Okay? And the thing about that is it starts you off with a prime number that you can circle right away. So that's not a bad thing to start with, right? So 2 goes into 108. Well, half of 100 is 50. Half of 8 is 4, so it has to be 54. Okay. If you want to go the easy route again, you can say 54 is an even number. It's divisible by 2, and then it pulls out a prime number again. Okay, half of 50, again, is 25. Half of 4 is 2. So 25 plus 2 gives me 27. Okay, 27 is a composite number, so you have to keep factoring out. So I would say 3, which is a prime number, so I circle it, times 9. 9 is a composite number because more than 1 and 9 go into it, right? Because 3 times 3 is 9. So now you are left with just your prime numbers, right? Once you see you're left with just your prime numbers, you can now create your prime factorization. So again, on the test, you'll first be asked to create your prime tree, your factor tree, I guess I should call it, your factor tree. And then the second step will be your prime factorization. So your factor tree is worth 6 points, and then creating the prime factorization is worth another 2 points. Okay, so the prime factorization, I count, I have 1, 2 2s. So I'm going to say 2 squared times, I have 1, 2, 3 3s. 3 cubed. Final answer. Okay. Any questions? Again, we have until next Thursday is the assessment, okay? All right. The next big one I want to make sure I get to everything because I see time is running. We will hopefully, do I see all of you guys twice a week or once a week? So that means next time I want to see you guys are on the assessment day. All right, so 2 and 3 are also prime factorizations, which we've already done examples. So let's skip down to, at the bottom, it says circle the correct answers, use your divisibility rules. If you cannot remember those divisibility rules, use your calculator. It says the number 3 on the following, except, I don't know why it says 3 6. Okay, so cross off that 6. I don't know why there's a 6, that's an error. So it says the number 3 is a factor of all the following numbers except, I'll have to correct that on the, I'll correct that. So the number 3 is a factor of all the following numbers except. So obviously I want you to use your divisibility rules, but if you can't remember your divisibility rule, you would simply do 30 divided by 3, see if that's divisible. Do 54 divided by 3, do 66 divided by 3, do 11 divided by 3, and then you'd figure out whichever one has the remainder is the one it is not divisible by, right? Okay. Next one says list all the factors of 66 utilizing a factor arc rainbow. Okay, so this is really important because this is a big one on your test. So first you'll be asked to create the factor rainbow, and I think that is factor rainbow 6 points, and then listing all of your factors is 2 points. So that's another 8 points. Okay, so factor rainbow of 66. So if I have 66, all right, remember you always start off, 1 and 66. Now you're going to have to use your calculator and think, or your divisibility rules. This is an even number, so I know 2 goes into it. So when you're creating your your rainbow, you need to show me that arch, right? So 1 times 66 gives me 66. 2 times 33 gives me 66. Right? Do you guys remember this? 3 times 22 gives me 66. Okay? And 6 times 11 gives me 66. This is 6 points right here. Drawing this is 6 points. Then the bottom says create the factor list. Remember, your factor list has to go in numerical increase in order. If you drew your rainbow arc, right, factor list is super duper easy. You would simply say factor list. You would do 1, 2, 3, 6, 11, 22, 33, 66. And that is your factor list. Okay, and that's worth 2 points. All right, so you need to be able to draw your rainbow and then list all your factors. You have to make sure you list all of your factors. Any questions? Okay, so we only have like 6 minutes left. So just to reiterate what you're going to see on your Unit 5 assessment. You are absolutely going to be asked to find the area of a regular shape. So we've discussed rectangles, squares, and triangles. You're going to be given one of them and asked to find the area. I will give you the formula to utilize, okay? So if it's a triangle, remember your formula, which I will give you, is 1/2 base times height, which I put is BH over 2. That would be the formula you use if it was a triangle. You're going to be asked to find the perimeter. You're going to be given one irregular shape. You're going to be given one problem where you got to draw a factor tree and find the prime factorization. You're going to be given one problem where you need to draw a rainbow arc and then give me the factor list. And you're going to be given one problem that's an irregular shape where you got to find the area and the perimeter. Okay? And that will be about it. All right? Any questions for the good of the public? Do we feel confident about this? So obviously I taped this lesson. You can definitely watch it again before your test. That's next Thursday. Answer key is posted online, so you can look at the answer key online for this review packet. And test is next Thursday. Just study until next Thursday. Okay? Sure you don't have any other questions you want to ask me? You got like 5 minutes left to class. It's all yours to ask me whatever you want me to do. Man, you guys are such a quiet group. All right. I think you guys will be just fine. We've been doing this, what, 6 or 7 weeks now? So we should be okay.